G'day guys, my name is Lord Tomo. Welcome again to another Sonic the Hedgehog Time Collect review. As you know, I'm Lord Tomo with the blues tier, good Sonic the Hedgehog. He's actually dirty. I've got to clean my stuff. That is for sure. Do want to apologize in advance for my late reviews. I tend to make one every week, but obviously for the last couple of weeks, been kind of life. That's the word I need to say. Life. That's all you need to know. Let's get into the actual review. Now, for those who may or may not know, or have been keeping tabs on my actual channel, you would have seen this, and this is probably the final piece of the Sonic and Knuckles 4-pack from Tommy review. I'll give you a little brief history just before obviously a recap on a few bits and pieces of the inside of the actual item itself. Essentially, back in the 90s, in the UK predominantly, and around Europe more or less, depending on which part you are from. This never released in Australia, regretfully. They released a Sonic and Knuckles 4-pack figurine set. Essentially, there were 5 sets. Each set came with... Is it 5 sets? Yeah, 5 sets. And each of them came with about 4 figurines itself. Now, at one stage, I only had 3. I only had 3. And I've acquired the last 2, which, yeah, pretty much makes all 3. Or it's more or less to promote... well, not promote, but it's more or less to cross-promote and capitalize on the success of Sonic the Hedgehog and its games by just releasing merchandise. This is possibly one of the rare ones, in my personal opinions. Out of the 5, all 5 are extremely rare within their own right, depending on which one you have. Really makes no difference, but this was extremely more harder to ascertain compared to the other 4, simply because I wanted to get in its box and I didn't want to get in figurine just for display and review purposes. So let's discuss this more or less. This was released in the UK, no doubt, roughly 1993-ish, when Sonic and Knuckles game came out, and in this set it comes with 4 more, Sonic figurines plus badnik. What made this set particularly more interesting is the fact that they focused more on the badniks than the actual heroes themselves, which I think is absolutely superb. I always wanted to get this. Let's talk loosely about the box and go from there. The box itself pays homage to the actual game itself, Sonic and Knuckles. You have on this side, obviously, the logo. It's really hard to see, but you can get the gist if you type in Sonic and Knuckles logo in, search engines or whatever. You have Knuckles here, and you have Sonic on the other side. I always love that logo. I still do, and if I could get myself one made, I probably will. Of course, you have Knuckles over there, just being Knuckles, because Knuckles is Knuckles. At the top here, you have Sonic. You have, obviously, the title standard, proprietary sort of logo, Sonic and Knuckles, and he has his 4-pack, ages 4 and up. These aren't necessarily action figurines, as in you can't really articulate any of the actual figurines themselves. I will show you more closely, of course, but as for the most part, they're just standard figurines. At the top, it just says Tommy. Tommy is the manufacturer that made it. Newsflash for those who may or may not know. Tommy is going to be, I'm pretty sure it's the same Tommy, but Tommy was a mass manufacturer of Sonic goods back in the 90s. A lot of the better stuff, in my opinion, of the 90s did come from Tommy, so don't be surprised if I make more of it. At the very bottom, just proprietary information, nothing too interesting. At the side, it says Sonic and Knuckles 4-pack, nothing extremely interesting there. Sonic and Knuckles 4-pack, standard stuff out there. At the front, I will take them out, I'm just going to show you, of course, just more stuff. At the back, and this is pretty much, besides the figurine themselves, the more interesting aspect of the actual thing. This is just a safety kind of logo saying that it's been tested on safety and your kids won't die. Of course, kids are very interesting. Just a standard logo, blue and red on the other side, and you just have various other things. Of course, my one doesn't come with all of them. This just shows you every single one you can come and collect. There's classic Sonic and all the badniks over there, which I think is extremely awesome. If you're more or less, I wouldn't say hardcore, but if you're a Sonic fan, I encourage you to seek out, as much merchandise, or at least voice your opinions on bringing out more badniks in terms of merchandise. I know Jazzware did make a few, which are a bit shy to pretty decent, if at all, but hey, for the most part, they're pretty awesome. So this one's pretty awesome itself. Tommy, that's pretty much it, really, in terms of the packaging itself. I would have had this sooner, but on my mind, I said if I was going to display them, I want to display them with the, the box itself. So I looked so hard just to basically get this complete, to be honest. I'll tell you how much it cost, where I got it, all that sort of stuff, which is always interesting. So let's get down to the first one. This is, I shall look at the box, because they tend to call it different things. This one is Sonic. Just Sonic, which is weird, because you have... Here's a little interesting thing that I just picked up on. have a close look at them. Pause if you have to. If somebody can tell me what the actual error mistake is, I don't know, I'll give you a thumbs up or something. No? Okay. Well, they're far this side, they're called Metal Sonic Sonic. Yeah, I know he's Metal Sonic because he's metal, but the more you know. So here's the little figurine itself. I'm going to basically try to get a... This one's extremely well sculptured. For the most part, a lot of them aren't in terms of paint apps and all that, but in this one in particular, it's definitely well sculpted and painted. I'm quite impressed. I'm not entirely sure if this is across the board, but yeah, he's got his little ears. He's got all his spikes. I think he has a little too much more. Yeah, I think that's about right in terms of spikes. And you have his little tail, and you have his shoes. Obviously, at the bottom, you don't have much paint app of details, which is decent. Like, you can't really expect much. So yeah, that's Sonic. So Sonic is Sonic. Can't really complain. Of course, this set is without its mouth. This one is, from the top of my head, Roller. Here's a little interesting fact. I hated this guy. I actually thought this was Sonic's friend, like best friend, when I first saw him. I think it was in Spring Yard Zone, in the original Sonic the Hedgehog. I know he made a few appearances in other games as well. Essentially, he would curl up as a ball. You can't do it because this is just a station one. And he would just basically charge at you and you'll never see him again. So the trick to killing him is killing him before he actually curled up into a ball. He is, by definition, his name's Roller. So there's little hands. His paint app on this, and you got like little markings reflecting his cephalic form, and you have a little tail, and you have his boots. I would have preferred they had 8 paint apps. I know they have a few details on here, on kind of like his, I know it's hard to really see, yeah, on his shoes, but yeah. So you can probably see where I got the whole, oh look, it's Sonic friend. It's true story. I walked up to him and then he's killed, and I was like, alright, obviously he's not a friend. So that's Roller. Always good to have Roller. The next one is a Buzz Bomber. This guy made a few appearances in most games, especially in the Sonic Lost World. So let's have a closer look at him. Essentially, it looks weird. You have his mouth, you have his little antennas, and you have his little, what is it? Thractos or whatever. I don't know his butt. I know there's a correct terminology to call him, but he's got his little stinger there. A lot of for the adults who are watching this, you can probably make a lot of innuendos to say the least. And you have his little interesting little blazer things. So yeah, I always found this badnik to be one of the most interesting ones, opposed to every other ones like Metal Sonic, Chopper, Crab Meat, and all these other ones. Oh, gotta put him in frame. Simply because he could fly, but he had basically boosters on either side to basically charge at you really fast, which I always thought this was a very unique character to say the least. So there's that. Pretty impressive to say the least. And the last one is Boarhog. Boarhog I hated with a passion. Pretty sure this one came out in bring him out. Oh, it looks pretty demonic now. Scrap Yard Zone for the original Sonic the Hedgehog, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, for those who have or have not played, it's essentially he would throw balls out of his belly and the balls would just bounce, so you had to basically time it and then strike him when you got closer to him. So normally he would appear on like an angular based sort of base and just try, defeat Sonic. This one's weird in the sense that his belly buttons, obviously the paint apps on here aren't the most impressive. His mouth just looks weird. He's pretty cute and adorable in a very way. He's kind of like a walrus slash kind of like a penguin slash, I don't know, like, what is this guy? Most of them you could guess what it is. I'm guessing they're trying to say he's a pig, but in the same token you can't really say that he's big because it's weird. It looks like a Snorlax from Pokemon. So yeah, paint apps are pretty decent. So that is essentially all that is regarding the actual set itself. Impressive to say the least. I was extremely happy when I first got it. Extremely pricey, to be honest. Obviously, for those who may or may not know, I do have a tendency. I'm just going to put this in whilst I'll talk to you guys, because that's what I do, guys. I talk and I do stuff that makes absolutely no sense sometimes. So yeah, pricey, yes, that's where I was getting at. I have a tendency of spending quite a lot on stuff. Okay, this is not going to work out. On a lot of stuff. So I have a tendency of spending a lot of money on you know, stuff that I really want, simply because obviously I have the money for it. But it's not for the faint-hearted, of course. So it's case by case in terms of, you know, which you can or can't buy. And I think I may be diverging the actual. Why isn't this fitting in properly? Why must this not work? Anyway, I'll just hold it like this in the meantime and I'll fix it up later. Oh, it actually looks pretty impressive. So yeah, I spent about 150 on this. I think it's about, yeah, 150 bucks. No, I think I spent a little more than this. I think 250 or something. Very, very expensive. I'm pretty sure it was 250. I'll just double check that actually. No. Yes, around 250 thereauabouts. I got this from the UK, no surprises, on eBay. You would find this back in the day in local retailers. Unfortunately, I did not because, well, Australia, we never had that. So it was extremely expensive that I had to buy it. But I really wanted to get it simply because it completed my 5-pack set. So I have every single one of them, which I'm extremely ecstatic to get. Always awesome to basically get a complete set of something, because that's just me. That's where I spend my money. I don't really go out in terms of, you know, drug smokes or anything like that. I'm very by the book sort of guy. A little more about me that you guys don't know. So yeah, about 250-ish I would say. And yeah, it's something that I really want to get. In terms of rarity, I'll probably give this 8 stars out of 10. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Depends on the collector and what their thoughts on this are and whatnot. But guys, look, let me know what you think about this. If you have any preference in any badniks that you may or may not like. If you got this, how did you get it? You know, just anything, just enlighten me. I'm always want to, you know, hear your 2 cents worth of stuff that I may or may not know. Anyway guys, thank you so much for checking out my reviews. I will make more hopefully in the next couple of days, if not weeks, just to catch up for the weeks that I didn't do it. But anyway guys, thank you so much for checking out my review. Stay tuned for next week. Speed on and take care.